If we could, we'd turn the clock back a little bit. Actually, we're going to do that in about a month. We'll be turning the clocks back. In the meantime, we're going to step into fall 2024. We're going to step into another episode of When Black Men Talk. Good morning. If you've listened to us in the morning, well, we're at a morning stage here in Connecticut, Ohio, and Illinois. Myself, me, and Mark Elliott want to welcome you again to When Black Men Talk. As you know now, this is the conversation that three gentlemen get to have on a weekly basis around love, relationships, and a variety of different things that goes on in life. And we're happy that you give us an ear. I want to say also that we finally made ourselves onto a website. Ain't that something? Yes, we now have a website dedicated to us. I want to thank the good folks over at Buzzsprout. So if you ever need, want to find an episode or some information going on about this show, please type in when black, black is spelled BLAK, men talk.me. Once again, when black, BLK, I might have said EBLK, mentalk.me. And you'll find what's going on in the latest episodes and many of the old episodes of what we do here. And of course, we appreciate that you would do such. I want to bring in the two gentlemen that, at least one or two gentlemen that make this what it is as we start to roll into the first day of spring 2024. And it's starting to get cool in this part. It's a little bit demoralized, but I'm glad the guess it's a little more colder in Chicago. How you feeling, boss? Good morning.
I'm feeling good, man, and it's just the weather's just kind of breaking here in the 70s. I'm about to turn off this air because I don't feel like giving ComEd all this money for this air conditioner they've been running for the last few weeks in the summer. But it's just breaking. It's rainy here, and I like the fall weather, like the fall and the spring weather. I'm not looking forward to the Chicago winter, but I'll enjoy the fall while we got it.
Yeah. My question is to you, man, is that I know a few years ago on the sports show, you always did like, was it Oktoberfest Stein? And I know right now you're leading in the picks. So I'm wondering if you're going to start, drinking during the picks come next month. I'm just trying to get an idea if that may happen or not.
No, I'm trying not to blow my wad too soon, man. I'm trying. I get a little happy when I'm leading and kind of make a little bit, kind of reach out there a little bit more. But nah, I ain't gonna put the Stein in until maybe the end of October. I got a little healthy lead. I'm kind of liking it in first class, so I want to stay here as long as I can.
Well, I'm going to tell you, the pressure's on, my brother. The pressure's on when you're up there in that first class and you're leading, man. And just gentleman knows about the pressure in our football picks because majority of times he wins. But he know we're shooting at him. So we're going to Mr. Charles. Mr. Charles, how you feeling? Welcome, man. Good morning.
Good morning, man. I'm good, bro. I'm good. Yeah, I'm waiting for that Stein because that Stein. When you start getting that Stein out, you start hallucinating and all kind of stuff. He be doing. Yo, did you just say
Yeah, drunk picks.
Seattle?
No,
Did you just say Seattle with
drinking
their
beer and
quarterbacks out
making
for the
picks.
rest of the
Yeah,
year? Yeah,
drinking.
you be like, look,
Yeah, drinking beer and
questionable.
making picks aren't any
Yeah,
good match. It ain't gonna be
even
good.
your dad be like, boy, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. I ain't lying, Junior.
Mm-mm-mm.
Yeah, but this week, while we're on the subject of the show, man, tell those folks where they can find our picks and other sport things that we do.
Yeah, we're on YouTube, and you can find the NFL picks with the squad on YouTube. Also, the First 40 Sports Show on the same channel, Chocolate 108.1. That's our channel. And of course, our boxing show, The Fight Game with Icewater and Puma. We'll be talking about the one of the fights that happened over this weekend. That was a surprise to me, but we'll be talking about that. And so yeah, check us out. Check us out. We give some great commentary on the shows. So check us out on YouTube. The NFL picks, the First 40 Sports Show with the squad, and the Fight Game with Icewater and Puma.
Thank you, sir. As things in life change, sometimes certain things kind of seem like they fight and resist to change. And discrimination is something that we don't hear about it much more, but it doesn't mean it's not happening. It just doesn't mean, and I think that's the false norm that this country has kind of fallen into, that people aren't being discriminated in their daily way of going on in life. And when I came across this, I wanted to share this to kind of basically highlight that. Because here's a young man. Tavio Grayson was awarded $237 million dollars in damages for discrimination that he faced being a United Parcel Service driver in Yamaha, Washington. Now, again, sometimes it's hard to believe this continues and it still goes on. This young man, basically, his supervisor was calling him boy. Boy, think about that for a second. He had situations where he was getting laid off for inexperienced new white drivers to work, and they were laying him off, and other things that went on. So you might hear the $237 million dollars as a high number, and you go, how did it get there? And if you're thinking that, you haven't been discriminated against. So, Mr. Charles, I want to bring you in on this because here we are in 2024, the fall of 2024, and there's still ways people are doing things out there idiotically, putting themselves and their companies at risk where they have to be paying 237 million. Your thoughts, my brother?
Yeah, I saw what the question says. Is it hard to believe that such discrimination continues on? In a way, yes, but then also in another way, on the other end, no, because to me, there's still some increments of discrimination on these jobs where certain people they feel like they have power over people, and they use discrimination as a tool because they know they can somewhat feel like they're dominant over individual who has to succumb to their wishes because of the hierarchy. When you think about the how they deal with far as the levels, I'm a supervisor, I'm a manager, you need your job, you better do whatever I say. And some people are so desperate because of their jobs and what they may need money wise that they just go through it without reporting it or saying anything. While deep down inside, what they're feeling is probably stirring for a long time. So kudos to Tavio Grayson for standing up and telling his truth, and kudos to those individuals out in that Washington state for giving him what he was just due, man. Because it's enough, and the factor about control and other things, it's enough. Because if you come off and take other matters in your hand when you get physical with people, then of course that's gonna be looked at crazy. But sometimes it can just be too damn much.
Now, you're right there, Mr. Charles. Sometimes you can take matters in your hand. And I applaud him as well because he chose not to take that route. There was a story here years ago in Connecticut at an alcohol plant. I'm not going to mention the name of the company. It was an alcohol plant where basically he was a delivery driver of the alcohol for this distributor and faced something similar to this extent. This brother decided to take it into his own hands. Came in one day with a weapon, shot the people that basically was discriminated against himself, discriminated against him, and then when the cops showed up, eventually take his own life. And you think about that in a sense to where they're no longer here due to their foolishness. They were raised to be racist because you don't come out your mother's womb being a racist. You just don't. So somewhere in your circle of life, you were taught to be a racist. Could have been the first time you stuck a bottle in your mouth, whatever the case may be. But you picked up some dumb shit from your parents, your surrounding area, your communities, and those men are no longer here due to that. So, Mr. DeMaurice, I want to get your opinion. Basically, is it hard to believe that such discrimination still continues on 2024?
No, no, not hard to believe, and my antenna is always up when it comes to that. You just see it on different levels, and you see how people kind of morph it in different ways. And then you had a former leader of this country who emboldened people to show who they really are. And there's one, I don't like the man, I despise him, but I thank him for one thing, for exposing all the racist people. Now you know who they are. Now you know where they are, who they are, how they act. It happens all day, every day. It may not happen in your corner of the world, but in some pockets of the United States, it's still happening. Whether it's in the South, in the North, in the West, in the Midwest, it's still happening. And so I'm not surprised that it still happens. And what we need to do as people of color is to expose it everywhere, expose it and make them pay for it. Because how many times have you been on social media where somebody racist acts the ass and they get recorded, and then all of a sudden, you have a rally of people who say, okay, who is this person? Where do they work? All that stuff. And then it affects them in their pockets. And then they're on, some video crying, talk about, that's not like me. I wasn't raised like that. Yes, you were. You just got exposed. And then they lose their job, livelihood, end up in jail, all kind of craziness because of the way they were raised. And so now they're repentful after they showed their ass. So we need to expose it and make sure that people know that this is not going to be tolerated anymore. This is not, you know, the yesteryear of the United States when you can get away with that, and it was the norm in this society. It's not going to be tolerated anymore, and you're going to pay for it. And a lot of cities around the United States are in debt because they have to pay these discrimination lawsuits, whether it's the police, whether it's on the job, all this stuff, especially the police department. I mean, lawsuits and all these extra fees they have to pay because people are actually taking them to court for discrimination or being treated less than human. And so, yeah, keep exposing it, keep the cameras on these folks, and keep the light shining on it so they'll run away like little roaches when they're exposed.
I love that too. I really do. I do. And these cities or states that are in financial debt to are good. Good, because you hire or you employ someone that's ignorant enough to do such acts, that's where
Hmm.
you need to be.
Yep.
Because when you turn a blind eye to and let it exist, it's going to come back and bite you in the ass like it should. Gentlemen, we was talking about our picks a little while ago, basically around NFL. And the most part, this kind of plays into what was going on here. Think about this years ago when we were watching NFL football. It was a mind concept of the owners in the league that black men weren't smart enough to play the position. They just didn't have it upstairs. Owners just thought in their head that I got to put a tall, blonde, blue eye, big arm guy back there to handle this. Well, in reality, that has changed some and has grown. I shouldn't say some, it's changed a lot. People have come along to basically show you're foolish in thinking that way. One person that jumps out of my mind immediately, I remember Warren Moon. That cat could spin it. Warren Moon played that position better than anyone. And he had to go outside the NFL first to play to even make it back into the NFL. And we all remember Doug Williams being the first black gentleman to win the Super Bowl years ago. And Doug went through some things as well. Well, I came across this is going to come. I think it's going to come on Prime. It's called The Evolution of the Black Quarterback. It's by Michael Vick. It's going to be on Prime. He goes back and deal with the mindset, what these cats had to deal with as they prepared themselves to play in the NFL, what they witnessed, what went on, and basically it goes back and talks to a lot of these different quarterbacks and some of the current day quarterbacks, how they feel about it, and it puts it right out there on Front Street. And when I was thinking about doing this, I realized that the league just started this season, and what was it 31 teams? Almost half now have black starting quarterbacks. Almost half. So, DeMaurice, I'll swing this back to you. Basically, want to get your thoughts about this because we sat and watched the game when the guy that was underneath the center didn't look like you and I. Now we are seeing that. Your feelings and your sentiments towards it, sir.
It's a great feeling. Yeah, I think 15 out of the 32 or 31 teams in the NFL had a black starting quarterback. And I think I sent that. I put it on one of our promos for the show, and that was unheard of. And I, you know, we watched the Joe Gilliams and how they were treated. We watched the Jimmy Harrises and how they were treated, and Doug Williams and all that. And we knew that there were the black quarterbacks in college. They were relegated to either a wide receiver or a running back. When these guys could have been setting records and doing all these great things in the NFL. But I know Kaepernick said a long time ago that the NFL is like sometimes he related it to a plantation, and that's what the owners were kind of treating the NFL black players as, kind of cattle, kind of, you're good enough to do this, but you're not good enough to, you know, do certain things or lead a football team or to be the face or the franchise of the football team, as quarterbacks are usually kind of, put as the franchise, the face of the organization. And so now you see that folks want to win. And the only way you win is you get a quarterback that can do multiple things. It reminds me of the story of Bear Bryant, real quickly, where Bear Bryant wanted to put black players on the Alabama football team, and he knew, the environment that he was in, and how folks would respond to it. So he brought in USC and Sam the Bam Cunningham, and Sam ran all over Alabama. So Bear Bryant goes to, I guess, a local restaurant or coffee shop on Monday, and all the folks kept shaking their heads like, "We got to get we got to get one of those. We got to get one of those." And he walked out, he had his hat, walked out, started smiling, and started recruiting black players. That's how black players got to Alabama. So when folks want to win and they see that, okay, we can't win with a whole bunch of folks that look like us on the field, we got to get some of those. That's when the landscape kind of changed, and you saw, you got Patrick Mahomes, you have Doug Williams before him. You have all these quarterbacks that find themselves, Jalen Hurts was in the Super Bowl. All these quarterbacks are finding their way on the field, and because they're winners, and folks want to win. Winning is the bottom line to get money. And so if it's not working with the old kind of formula, you got to change it up. And you see the NFL changing it up because it was, they're not smart enough. All they do is run. They can't stay in the pocket. Oh, you can't have a quarterback and just stay in the pocket. Check out the quarterback that plays for Chicago. You got to do multiple things. As one of our boys in college used to say, Charles, Dwayne, you got to do multiple things to succeed on all these levels.
It's so interesting, man. I remember years ago um, when Tony Dungy played. He was for the Indianapolis Colts and the coach of Chicago Bears. I just had his name. Can't think of his name. Chicago's head coach. It'll come to me. They were facing off in the Super Bowl for the first time. Two black head coaches facing off. So I bought this T-shirt that was out at the time and had a picture of him, Dungy, and the other coach. Like in a one on one side, one another, and the wrote was underneath. If you something about you can't understand this. And I remember walking in the supermarket wearing this Lovey Smith. What's his name?
Lovie Smith, yeah.
Yes, I remember walking in the supermarket and they looked at me and they was reading the shirt and they just looked at me and I was like, "Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You can't understand this." So it might to you. You're watching the game. We're seeing something more on a magnificent level. Mr. Charles, here it is, man. Like Mr. DeMarie said, 15 of the 31 quarterbacks in the league today that are starting, just not sitting on the bench. They're not on the practice squad. They're starting are black young men. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I love this topic. This is amazing. When you talk about the history of in the NFL, particularly the history of football, the evolution. Um, you got to think about it with the way that offense is such the major goal now, with defenses being kind of shut down. You can't hit hard. You can't make so many plays. It's focused on scoring. Then you would need more mobile individuals or people that can run and do a lot of different things that DeMarie said. And a lot of that equates back to the black quarterback or the African American quarterback. So that makes a lot of sense to me. But you still have to look back at the history. And you guys mentioned it earlier. But you got to think about what it was before. You mentioned Tony Dungy. I mean, think about it this way. In college, Tony Dungy played quarterback and he played defense at Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
He was a quarterback. So he came into the league, going to the league thinking he wanted to play quarterback, but he noticed that he would be better suited for the NFL, will get picked if he changed positions. And he did that. So that's an amazing point there. But you think about cats like Marlon Briscoe, right? Cats that nobody really brings up that name anymore. But he had the opportunity, and you mentioned like the James Harrises of the world. So cats like that had to do what they had to do to be in the league. But I think back then too, it all came down to these black quarterbacks had to really be aware of injuries and really understanding they need to protect themselves as well. Because sometimes the teammates would turn off on them or wouldn't block for them or things like that because everybody thought they was too flashy or too mobiles or could not make good decisions. One last thing, real quick. I remember back in the day reading this point about two of the first African American players to come in the NFL. That was Bill Willis and Marion Motley. They both played for the Cleveland Browns. And they came in playing, and Bill Willis told his teammates, he warned them, because Marion Motley was a runner, he's a running back. He said, if you do not block for him, when we get to practice and the other stuff, I will get you. He straight
So I
up.
like
He
that.
said, I will get you because this man, just like me, is trying to win, and we're trying to win. And if you do not help us, you're gonna pay for it when we practice.
I like that. I like that. I'm gonna take this a little further because this happened a few years ago, and ironically, um, Lamar Jackson. They tried to move him around. I remember watching Lamar Jackson in Louisville. I always kind of saw a thought when he came to league, he was going to light it up. But when it came time to draft Lamar Jackson, and they realized his agent was his mom, some of the talk was, we ain't gonna really want to deal with her. He need to hire an agent. They didn't really want to deal with a black woman representing her son. It's like, does she have the know-it-all? He's gonna be able to give the right deal, yada yada yada. That went on. And that wasn't only in the NFL circle. Some of our people kind of thought the same thing. So sometimes we got to put the mirror back at us when it comes to that too, because we still look at some of our people and don't think they're capable of certain things. Now we may not know much about Lamar Jackson mom, but she got the job done. She got that job done, and this cat's doing his thing in the NFL. I'm gonna swing that back to you, DeMaurice, because we know we probably talked about. I'm pretty sure we talked about it on the sports show. And his mother basically being a black woman. No, she wasn't a black sports agent. Sat down, got this man, and she told him from the start, if you think about my son playing any other position in quarterback, do not draft him.
Yeah,
Your thoughts?
she knew the game. And, I'm going to stop saying our people, and I'm going to start saying people who look like us have
Mm-hmm.
this opinion. Because I don't want to claim people that Harriet would have left behind because, of their stupidity and their love for being oppressed and all this other stuff. So, but she had it. She knew what she was going into. She knew what was best for her son. She knew the climate of how the NFL works. I'm pretty sure she knew the history of what professional organizations do to young men who can play the position, but they want to relegate them to receiver, running back. There was another Ohio State quarterback who I thought was a Braxton, who was a fine quarterback and got drafted. And then, in order for you to stay on the team, son, you're gonna have to play this position. I don't think he's in the league anymore. Okay, he probably got hurt playing the other position. He's not in the league anymore. So some of us get so desperate that we want to just be in the league, that we let that desperation take us away from what our God-given talent was to play a certain position. And so she knew that going in. And so she, just like other fathers who were white, or parents who were white, who said, hey, my son is not playing for this particular team and my son's not going for that. She put the gauntlet down and said, no, if you're thinking about doing this, think again, go somewhere else. We're not going to waste time with you trying to kind of schmooze us and getting him playing a position where he's played quarterback all his life. That's what he knows. That's where his talent is. That's where he's going to shine. If you're serious about drafting him, then you're going to pick him at this position. You're going to keep him at this position. If you start to change that, then we can move on. She believed in him. She invested in him. He invested in himself. And I think we all saluted her for doing that. Don't change his position because you have this kind of stereotype, or you want to put him in this category where he's not. I think it was because the way he looks, the way he kind of speaks and carries himself. They didn't want him to be the A lot of NFL teams didn't want him to be the franchise of their organization. It was the perception of him. It wasn't his ability. It was the perception of him. Is like, do we really want him to be the face of this organization? And what will our fan base, certain people in our fan base, think if we have him up at the podium and speaking the way he speaks and looking the way he looks? I don't think it had anything to do with his talent. It was that they were thinking about their fan base and how it would turn off their fan base. And I commend Ozzie Smith and the Baltimore Ravens organization saying, you know what, this is our guy, and we're going to build a team around him, and we're going to build a team that caters to his talent rather than trying to make him something that he wasn't.
Yeah, I think it was Ozzie Newsome, if I'm correct.
Yeah, Ozzie Newsome. I'm sorry.
Yep,
Yeah,
yep. No,
yeah,
no problem. No, man. No, you're right. You're dead on because Ozzie basically had the knowledge and was man enough to say, you know what? Yeah, we're going to take him. Because if I remember correctly, Mr. Charles, Lamar Jackson was falling out of the first round. Well, other teams basically made excuses. He was falling, and Ozzie and the Baltimore Ravens traded up in the first round to go get him. So imagine when you look around the NFL now, imagine some of these teams that passed on him still looking for quarterbacks, still haven't sniffed the playoffs. They have no one on their team as MVP. And Lamar Jackson's mom said, no, if you're coming here and if you're going to use my son's talent, it's going to be used this way. We're in the driver's seat. Your response, Mr. Charles.
Yeah, knowing that I mentioned about him falling down in the draft as a draft prospect, you had these so-called NFL experts that were sitting in those seats before a GM, and then of course they become broadcasters and they have them on TV. Uh, in particular, Bill Polian. He was a former GM in Indianapolis, and he was one of the first people that said Lamar Jackson should be a wide receiver. He
mm-hmm.
didn't have the wherewithal to be a quarterback at all. He would not draft him. And that resonates when you see that's in front of millions of people across the world. But as you mentioned, kudos to his mom for sticking to it and knowing what was going on. I think a lot of times, particularly with some people of color, those that the fans and particularly those that are in the league and sitting in their front office, they understand it's about knowledge, right? And they don't think a lot of people have knowledge about what goes on. So it's about having the ins and outs, knowing the ins and outs of the league. But I'm almost certain, and I would throw $1,000 down easy without thinking about it twice, that Lamar Jackson's mother reached out to some people, educated herself, and learned about the situation they were going to embark on, so she could truly understand the process of what this is like. Because you just don't jump in there thinking, well, yeah, my son was a great pee wee football player, and it's gonna be the same way. The way you could just tell the due diligence and the way they went about it, and not only that, but to be able to secure the deal, right? You gotta understand. You gotta have some knowledge, because there's some shysters out there that's gonna try to run game on you. They're gonna try to get that 10%, all of the above. So you gotta really take a step back and go, I'm certain she did her homework, and that's why she was able to do what she did from the start all the way through. Because it's a very difficult process. You just don't say, go in there, give me $85 million. There's a lot to it. You got to dot your I's and cross your T's from a legal standpoint. So kudos to her family and him for doing what they had to do to get that money.
John, there's sometimes when things happen and you move in the direction where the flow is going. And I say that to say that we're kind of moving in a different direction that I may have anticipated what we're going to do with this particular episode. And I want to kind of do that here. I was going to kind of delay, and I was like, nah, Mark, go the direction. Because, Demon Reese, your comeback when I said about our people, you said you're going to stop, doing that and kind of like basically say like a Harriet Tubman. And as soon as you said that, man, this went off in my head. I'm looking at Camilla Harris. I'm looking at her. And we have a lot of people that are your shade, your hue, you have your melon. for whatever reason, can't see her ascending that high, or reasons. And it's interesting because Mr. Charles, you just touched base on his mom saying what she had to do to prepare herself to be in that situation. In spite of what they thought about it, when they just looked at a black woman trying to do something that mainly white men have been doing for years, when I proudly say screwing up half the time. And she stepped in and handled it much stronger and better than they did. So I find it ironic when this woman is basically given an opportunity to believe that she can run this country and run it well. Some of the big outcry is not from people that don't look like her. It's people that look like her. You have Republicans that don't look like her saying, I want her to lead the country. And you have us basically been sitting on our asses, ain't been doing nothing our entire lives. Can't wait to get to a microphone and speak out against her. Can. And here again, this needs to be talked about in some form or fashion. You have the right to vote for who you want to vote for. It's your choice, whatever you want to do. But here's what I've noticed. The people that don't want to vote are voting, that don't want to vote for him, they ain't coming out bad mouthing him. They're just saying I'll vote elsewhere. They ain't coming out taking shots at him, with this and that. Our people that don't want to vote for her, whatever the case may be, oh man, they got a laundry list. And if what is that about? What is that? Not like I don't know, not like I have no idea, but hell, I want to talk about it because at some point we got to throw this fucking barrel away that we live in. This crabs in the barrel bullshit that we live in. And if we never talk about it, the barrel is never going to fucking explode. So I come back with this with you first, Mr. Demus, because you lit the torch for this, my brother, and the fire is raging. Your comments.
Yeah, man. If you remember, because I remember clearly, Obama went through the same thing, and you have folks who look like us saying the same thing. We have folks that look like us that are so-called leaders
Yes,
talking
sir.
about cutting his balls off. That he couldn't. He can't do this. He's not black. All this stuff. It's the same thing. It's the same playbook. So these are folks I put in the category that Harriet would have left behind because they're holding you back. You're trying to get to freedom. You're trying to get to another land. You're trying to get to another level. And you're always going to have these folks. And sometimes they're propped up by folks that don't look like us. But I call out the Tavis Smileys and the Dr. Dumbass Cornell West who never said anything. You can't get them on. I can't find video of them saying anything about Trump. But as soon as a black person tries to step up in there, they got the Tavis Smiley is like, oh man, she's gonna get white raked across the coals in that debate. I guess he didn't. You haven't heard from Tavis Smiley since that debate. So you have what they call, and I think Malcolm X coined this phrase, pop-up Negroes, who will come in and try to douse any kind of fire under a cause that promote us or make us look good. Oh, I don't think you should do that. Oh, I don't think she's the right one. And they get bought off. They sell out. And so these are the folks, I'm not calling them our people anymore because they're not our people. They're not my people. They're not the people that I want to associate with. They are people who look like me that have different opinions. And these are the people that Harriet would have left behind because they will slow up the process. They will get you caught up. You'll be sitting in that barrel with them like, man, I should have took my chance and just left them because we can't afford to carry these folks anymore. This is a war. There are going to be some casualties. Those who don't move and aren't quick and aren't swift enough and don't have that instinct in them that says, hey, we need to move forward on this, they're going to be left behind and they will suffer the consequences. And I can't feel bad for them. They made that choice. I didn't make that choice for them. I chose to move forward. I chose that I'm not going back. So I got to move forward. This is a sister that's trying to move forward. I want to help her do that. So it's going to be good for our people as well as all people. But when you have people like that who want to kind of pull you back, who have this confused kind of look on their face, or they're undecided and all this other stuff, and you look at the alternatives of who is better qualified for this position, then it's an obvious choice. But when you have those folks who are hemming and hawing and coming up with any other thing other than whether or not she's qualified for the job, I have no time for. I have no patience for. I'm not going to sit there and listen to you, because obviously you're not doing your research. You're not looking at this seriously, and you're just coming up with excuses on why you don't want to do something, as opposed to getting on track with what's going on and moving this forward. We're all going to have different opinions at certain points. But when you are latched on to somebody who's trying to move forward, I'm going to be latched on to Harriet Tubman and Harriet Tubman type thinking folks. I'm not going to be latched on to the house Negro who wants to really kind of abide by master's rules, and is we sick master, and we gonna be together master, and you gonna be my master forever. I can't deal with that mentality anymore. So miss me with the our people. I'm not saying they are our people anymore. Our people like to move forward. Our people progress. Our people dominate any industry that we get into. People who look like us, who don't want to do that, you got to leave behind. We can't carry you anymore. You're done. You're done. And if you want to stay there, have at it.
I love that, bro. I love it. I mean, I love it. I love sometimes when we do this and you two gentlemen speak what I would said. Hey, man, I love it because that's what it is. That's what it really comes down to. We don't have the time or the capacity to honor you anymore, to treat you like you should be treated. We just don't. You chose your side, you chose your purpose. That's fine. Be there, be there, but don't try to come back. When things clear up and things are better, do not try to come back because we remember. We will remember. And a lot of the stuff you're all putting on video, it lasts for a long time. It lasts for a long time. So that it's gonna be easy to pull that back up. You can't run around denying it. And again, it's your choice, your opinion, your choice. But it's just from time to time, I've just, Mr. Charles, and give you a chance to come in. We always show how fractured we are. Just as a race of people, we just show, and we'll blame everybody else for it instead of looking in the freaking mirror. Everyone else. This, that. No. How about looking at yourself in the mirror? Your response, Mr. Charles.
Yeah, a lot of great information put out there. I'm gonna say this because this is, I think, one of the parts. I think I told D. Maurice about it, and I told my other folks in the circle about this, that we really don't look at, or it's never really pointed out to us, but it's right in front of us. When you think about Kamala Harris running for president, um, what's been put out there by society and by the media, like it's an impossible feat. First of all, right? You even think about some of the other so-called, once President Biden decided to remove himself, some of the other potential candidates that were not of color just even said, "Nah, I'm not doing that. I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna need 4 years to get myself together to get my campaign right." That's a losing battle. That's a no-win situation. So I'm definitely not doing that. Because when you think about it, I say technically it's like less than 90 days. You can do the math, 110 days to really be exact, for this lady, this woman of color, to try to become president of the United States. Think about that. 110 days or 90 days or whatever to try to become president in this crazy situation. And of course, I'm speaking to those people that know what I'm talking about. You don't have to be a color, but you got to be down a little bit. So I'm gonna say this real quick. Where they do that at? Where they do that at? And you, those that know what I'm saying, that phrase, where they do that at? What I mean by that is you're facing a almost what is considered an impossible situation to overcome, right? But you got to take in consideration she has VP experience. And right now, with Mr. Biden not being really around and being seen, who's running the country? You don't think she ain't got nothing to do a little bit of that? And last but not least, my last point on this, when I talk about they have put this, deemed as this the impossible situation for her to try to win, overcome. But side note, or for those that don't know, the real people of color, the people that really know, or that the woke group that DeMaurice is talking about, that Harriet Tubman came back and got and allowed us to continue to move forward. That's what we do, baby. We do the impossible. Been doing it for years. When you have put us down, brought us over here, did what we did, our predecessors, our ancestors, put them in a no-win situation, but we always come up and we do it so well that you start to emulate what we do because we so damn good. Next time you think about wanting to say something crazy about the impossible, remember what I said about those days and think about what I just laid down on you. We the impossible, that's what we do. We do things that blow your mind and make you go, I can't believe them motherfuckers did that again. But here we go again, raging, moving forward, prospering, and dominating. Next.
Hmm. One Black Men Talk, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Charles, Mr. DeVries, Mark Elliott. This is our conversation. Others are afraid to say some of the things that we say. We just don't care. We say what needs to be said, and we say it boldly. And if we're speaking about you, we're speaking about you. It is what it is. Here again, you got a right to do what you want to do. When I hear people basically say, I can't vote for her because she support abortion. Really? I can't vote for her because she does this. I've heard black men say, well, she locked up black men. If your black ass wasn't in the courtroom, how could she lock you up? Did she come to your house as a prosecutor, pulled your out and drag you to court? And I say that to say, as black men and black people, we say some of the dumbass things, and act like it makes sense. You don't realize how you're speaking and looking like a dumbass the majority of the times. So really, I'm happy that we can have this conversation because that dumbassness is no longer tolerated. You're no longer tolerated. The color of your skin does not let you into places that you should be let into anymore. No, based on your ignorance, your character, not your color when it comes to us as people. Your character, your morality, who you stand, what you stand for, be where you get determined where you're going to be placed. So go on, do your thing. Please do your thing. Happy. And like DeMarie said earlier about the ex-president basically showed us other people, her running for president, and Obama did too, showed us exactly who we need to cut out. No questions asked. Just snip and keep moving. Snip, 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 snip. Happy to do it. Smile. Wish you all the best.
Hey,
Gentlemen, yeah, please, please, please,
yeah,
go ahead.
I talked to my buddy, Attorney Salter, a couple of days ago, and I said, man, I can't wait till early voting starts. He said, bruh, it already started here in Maryland, and black folks are around the corner
Thank
voting.
you.
Who you think they
Thank you.
voting for?
Thank
Who do
you.
you think that the first day it opened? Who you think
Mm-hmm.
they voting for?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's amazing. Like I said, bro. I mean, I don't want to repeat some of the things you said, but it's amazing. The mentality, that the excuses that they give, they want to come out. I'm voting for him because really? Knock yourself out. And they want to put you on, they want to make you embrace them in a conversation. No, we don't have time for it. There's no time. You can do what you feel, do what you do. No, God bless you. Not mad at you. not, not at all. I'm glad you got exposed. Glad you got exposed. I'm gonna throw a name out there because he was flaming against her. D.L. Hughley. I'll give the brother credit. He humbled himself and came back and took a different path. At least he was smart enough and decent enough to do such. But it's just amazing, man. And we threw out some names of people more popular, but I'm talking about the less popular folks, bro. I'm talking about our neighbors, the people we work with. I'm talking about the people that basically walk around acting like they've always been down for the cause and they don't know what the cause is. Doing damage to the cause. In your own personal life. No, we don't have time for you anymore. We just don't. That's what I'm talking about. Those cats. It's good to throw some names out that we can recognize, but I'm talking about the idiots that's walk around, that's work with us, that talk to us, our family members. The stupidity. Seriously. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a bunch of load church people that's just been misguided for their entire freaking lives that won't wake up. Yeah, I'm talking about you. Let one man tell you what to do with the rest of your life, who to vote for, why to vote for him. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Those are the soldiers, or going to be non-soldiers that I'm identifying at this point. That's it. So yes, you either you fall in this category, or you fall into the other. If you fall into the other, God bless you. God bless you. I love it, gentlemen. I love it, man. Like I said, when things kind of present itself, we go in that direction. And I want to kind of bring this as we start to kind of make plans to get out of here. You know, it's football Sunday. You know, I got my picks in this week. I think I'm gonna kind of make a little bit of movement, a little bit of traction. You know, kind of have myself back up to first place. But with that being said, I want to go to this, gentlemen, before we kind of get out of here, because a lot of times we think of in terms of diet. Diet is as soon as that word come up, the first thing we think of is, I'm losing weight. Gotta lose some weight and weight. But we don't think in terms of diet, in terms of our health. We just quickly associate that four-letter word with weight. But diet to me is different in a lot of different categories. Because diet is in a sense sometimes, what are you feeding your soul? Not through your mouth. What are you feeding your soul? So in that sense, are we really paying attention to what we watch, what we listen, what we say, what we read? And are we paying attention to people that we associate ourselves with, Mr. Charles? There goes the question about diet.
Yeah, I'm not sure if everybody's doing that or whatever, but I can only speak from a little bit of experience. I mean, as a majority, we may not. I think we just kind of take it for granted. We move on and we just kind of deal with things as it comes. But I would suggest, as you mentioned, to those that are paying attention, that I have for myself, I have a standard, man. When you get to this point in your life, or even when you get to a point in your life, there should be a standard. And what I mean by having a standard, it's about having balance. And most importantly, it's about trying to find your peace, right? So if you ever get to that point where you had that peace, where you're doing pretty good and feeling good about yourself, about your soul, and what you take in and how you see things, when you have that peace, I think it's important to periodically check in into your relationships, evaluate them. As you mentioned, what you watch, what you listen, what you're reading, and of course the people that you associate with. And then you got to say, well, all right, well, I've been doing this for how long? And they keep giving me the same stuff I've been receiving. And I had to do that myself, where you might be dealing with somebody or just even doing it on a cordial basis, a casual basis, should I say, for like 5 years. And you go, man, it's the same stuff over and over. So then I had to say to myself, is this still worthwhile? Is this worthwhile me still being connected with them? And at the end of the day, I had to make a decision to say, no matter what happens or who it is and who you're dealing with, do not let anyone disturb your peace, brother. Nobody. Do not let anyone disturb your peace. Because at the end of the day, besides the Lord and maybe a few other close people, you all you got, man. And if you're not right, you can't do nothing for nobody else, and you can't live a successful and a fruitful and a peaceful life.
I don't think finer words have been spoken, my brother. I don't think finer words have been spoken. Mr. DeMaurice, we look at diet sometimes again as far as basically in terms of, I'm losing weight, I need to lose weight, whatever, I can't eat this, I'm not gonna eat that. But I don't think we really turn it around and look at how we feed our soul. I don't think we do. And that I think we need to pay more focus and attention to. And we a lot of times we're watching stuff. I don't think our soul really want us to be watching. And I'm kind of give an example for myself in a sense. And it's not that I'm afraid to watch these. And this sounds simple when I say this, but it's just me paying attention to what I'm feeding my soul. I don't really want to watch horror flicks. I stopped watching them a long time ago. Because to me, most horror flicks don't give you a movie with a good, solid movie script. They just basically focus on the killing, trying to scare the hell out of you. And to me, you can get wrapped up into that, and you start to become numb to human life. And then I remember years ago, there was a cat that couldn't even act. It was a white actor. I can see him now, and he basically would be in the movies just shooting them like crazy. I can't watch this. What is the purpose of me sitting down and really watching and enjoying this? There's no script. There's nothing behind. There's no structure. There's nothing really there other than him basically taking out a Uzi shooting. He didn't even speak good English. You know what I mean? And I remember,
Sylvester Stallone.
no, not him. It's a black. He had dark hair. He used to wear a ponytail. He used to kill the drug cartel. I can't think of his name. He hasn't done nothing.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
yeah.
hasn't done nothing since.
Steven
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 Seagal.
Seagal.
Seagal, yes
Yeah.
sir, yes. And I'm like, I remember he came out with a movie one week, and it was coming out, and the black people loaded the movie theater to watch it. Nothing but gratuitous violence, shooting, bang, 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 bang. I gotta get me one of those guns. No, you don't. Like, so my point is, if you're giving yourself a steady diet of that, constantly giving yourself that energy to your soul, what do you think that's doing? What do you think that's really doing to your soul? What do you think that's doing to your mindset? And again, that's not what we're talking about losing weight. That's a diet that you're feeding your soul constantly. If you're basically listening to music that's degrading, damaging, have no meaning to it, speaking words of just, that's your diet. This is what you've been eating for the last, listening to for the last 10 years. If you're reading stuff that just goes against the grain, that doesn't serve you well your entire life, that's your diet to your soul. We don't think about it. The word soul, what does it represent? What is this to us? Your reaction to it, Mr. DeMaurice.
Yeah, I see that, and yeah, I'm careful on what you ingest and digest. And there's an old saying is, "What you eat don't make me." You know the rest. Um, so I do that with people too. If I have a technique that I've used for years. If someone is speaking nonsense, I'll interrupt them and say, excuse me for a minute, and I'll leave and I won't come back. Or hey, I gotta go. I don't want to hear. I don't want to hear about you've been in this marriage for 10 years, complaining for 10 years. I ain't got time to be listening to it if you're not going to do anything about it. Shit or get off the pot. Do what you got to do. So I've cut off a lot of people where I just can't listen to that. And I said a long time ago on this show, find your people, and surround yourself with your people because everybody ain't your people. And so, yeah, you have to be, especially the music. I can't listen to radio too much anymore. I create my own playlist and I'll listen to that. And I'll try to check out different songs and stuff like that. I'm into more jazz, R&B, neo soul, and I'll create my own playlist because with the nonsense they put on radio is programming you. There's a movie called They Clone Tyrone. And I highly recommend that movie because they kind of pinpoint, okay, here's how they're kind of programming you to think and do the things that you do. And they're replicating, these different people who are giving these messages to make sure that you get this message. So one of the famous lines is, "It's in the chicken." It's in the chicken, and there's a chicken place that has. I know we probably talked about it offline. That has 40 different chemicals in it, but we as black folks still go and get this chicken. We go get this chicken and we eat it and we swear by it. We can't get enough of it. Yeah, it's drugging you. It's drugging you. And in this movie, they talk about it. They talk about the different products we use, the different things that we watch, the different music that's played at a certain frequency to numb your brain and thinking thoughts and doing things that you have no business doing. So it's a science behind all the stuff of ingesting and digesting some of this stuff. And so I catch myself sometimes, channel surfing in the car, and you listen to these beats and you listen to this nonsense that comes out. I listened to one rap song. I was on my way to go teach a class. I was listening to one rap song, and what woke me up is the guy says, "Wham, wham, wham, I'm a baby," and I'm like, "What the?" I'm going to work for a living. This guy's making $1 million with a lyric like this. I'm like, what the hell's going on? What the hell's going on? I'm on my way to work. Busting my butt. He's talking about wham, I'm a baby. And I'm like, okay, it's programming, folks. And now you shouldn't wonder why kids don't have a vocabulary of more than 200 words. Think about it. They're not getting any vocabulary or learning anything, listening to these songs, following these dumb artists. If that's the way they're gonna make money, hey, I can't. I'm not gonna knock it anymore. But what is it doing to the brains of folks who listen to this, who go to the clubs, who listen to music at this frequency? It's just numbing your brain, and you can feel yourself getting dumber when you're listening to this stuff. So I gotta turn. I gotta turn those. And I'll put my own CDs. I'll play. The different streams the music I want to listen to, jazz without words, things of that sort, because I don't want to get caught up in that. So definitely in movies. I mean, I look at it sometimes. Some of the stuff that I watch is entertainment. So I will indulge in watching certain movies if they're really good. I love a good story. But it has to have a good story. It has to have some kind of meaning behind it. I like to be entertained, but yeah, you got to watch yourself, not with just food, but your diet of what you're ingesting and how it's digesting in your mind, body, and spirit, and not being lured away from your true purpose in life with what you're ingesting and digesting.
Gentlemen, I want to thank you too for doing what you always do. We're gonna, take time here now before we kind of really put the lid on this, man. This conversation has been beautiful in my terms. I love what we cover. I love what we talked about. Nothing new. Every time we get together, I feel the same way when we basically get ready to close the door on Elliot's Loft. But I'm gonna come to you for a question, Mr. Jones, because it might have been something you might have been feeling throughout the week, and you wanted to get, down on my reaction to it. Mr. D, reaction to it, and on my reaction to it, sir.
Yeah, just different things off the top of my head. But one of the things I want to throw that out there is we just talked earlier about possible candidates or who you might look at as far as the vote for the presidency. How in tune or how much do you think most people, particularly people of color that are woke or whatever, really know the difference or what it takes in regards to the popular vote, and most importantly, do they really understand what the electoral college is and and how it works?
Sad to say, I don't think many of us are. I don't. I really don't think we take the time to understand the process. And I say that to say a lot of times with us in life, and I'm not saying our people have the patent on this, but a lot of times we only want to learn about something if it affects us. If we in it, then we're like, I didn't know that. I mean, why not always take time to expand your mind about different sectors of life? And I don't think we do that as a whole. We don't try to dig deeper. I've always been one to where if I'm in something, I want to know what make it tick, my brother. What makes it work? How does it get from here? How does that happen? How does this go? So I transferred that to a lot of different things in life. I don't want to speak on stuff where I'm not knowledgeable. If it's something I'm not knowledgeable, I'm gonna shut the fuck up. I'm not gonna try to impress you like I am if I'm not. I have no reason to try to impress you. But with that being said, I do my homework. I do my research. I educate myself. I don't have to be in a classroom. I take the steps to do what's necessary to learn. So if I'm going to have a conversation, if I'm going to hear a story, I'm not going to take a story and put in my opinion what the story is. I'm going to look at the bare facts. I go behind the story, understand why this A, B, C, D happened. And that I don't feel we do. Your response, Mr. DeMaurice.
I think if we did, we would realize and get rid of the electoral college. It served its purpose in the early stages of this country, but it's obsolete now. It is actually obsolete now. So a lot of us slept in those classes. I think they do it on purpose too. They try to explain this stuff in grade school where none of us are really paying attention to that, and it's way over our heads at that particular time. It should be taught more on the high school and college level to help us understand as we get into adulthood what this really means and how the country really works. They give us a little. I remember when we were kids, gave us little cartoons on understanding. I'm just a bill, yes, all that. And so we sing those songs, but we don't really understand what's going on. And so I think if folks were really in tune and really, know about how this country kind of works and how the government works and things of that sort, we'd be a lot better off. It's just and not let people kind of dictate or tell us what's going on, but we would know for ourselves. And a lot of us, it's sad to say, we're sheep, and we get led to slaughter because of we don't know the information, and then we start to believe the misinformation, and then that's why a lot of us are lost in the sauce because we just don't know, and we kind of go by feelings of what we feel instead of what's the truth and what truly to believe.
There it is. Good question, Mr. Jones. Your response to it, my brother.
Yeah, it's just crazy because I know that a lot of people they go and they vote, and then after something comes back with not the result they're looking for, then they mad because they don't understand the whole situation. I'll throw this out at you. I think it's very important to understand about the electoral college and how it affects the voting process. There was I call him 45, former president 45 when he ran against Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton won the popular vote, man.
Yeah.
She won the popular vote. And most times people think, well, hell, she got the most votes, she won, right? She was, the hell happened? I went to bed. They said she was winning. And then you wake up and go, oh, by the way, that's that other thing. It's called the Electoral College. So she didn't win. You're like, what? What do you mean she won? Well, you need 270 votes in the Electoral College to get that done. And they don't understand who has those votes based on the state that you live in and things of that nature, who has control of that. And I think that's something that a lot of us, before you go in that booth, if you have a few minutes, check it out and find out why things are happening the way they are and how things could process in November.
I'm gonna tell you, man. There's certain names that you can mention and certain people can bring up. Well, I see red, bro. And when you talk Hillary Clinton, I see red. I see motherfucking red. I remember when Obama won. This hussy didn't want to acknowledge the fact that he beat her. She waited several hours. And to me, the Democrats, because of that, being who she was, Bill Clinton's ex-wife, they basically promised her the chance to run after Obama is done. And look how that turned out for this country. Just think about it. She never held office prior to, trying to run for president. When she thought about becoming a president, her lily white ass came to New York and tried to become a senator. She knew she would want to become a senator in New York, trying to run her ass up into being a president. It didn't work. So when I see her now, I see that bitch for who she is. I see right through her. She lied when she was trying to run for president, and that's why she didn't get elected. So I'm tired when people roll her out like she means something. I see red when I see her. I see phoniness, big time. And I remember when she was running for president, a black woman basically couldn't get to the vote stands quick enough. Cause no, Hillary didn't give nothing about you. Didn't give a fuck about you. Excuse my language. I'm sorry. But I'm sick and tired of us putting people up on pedestals that don't belong to be there. And I'm not saying you did that with her, Mr. Charles. I'm just saying in general. She's a disgrace to me as a woman, as a president, as a first lady, and a person that this country will sometimes want to adore. It's because of you that idiot had a chance to be president of this country for 4 years. Your question, Mr. DeMaurice.
I was watching the debate. I didn't get to watch it in real time, but I had a chance to go back and watch it. And I mentioned this to you in a phone call. And this is how powerful Vice President Harris is and how intimidated the dude is. He did not look at this woman one time during that. She addressed him. She, went to him and actually put out her hand and introduced herself and said her name correctly to him, like, this is my name. and I'm not afraid of you. There was another point in there. I don't know if you guys noticed that, where she basically, well, she didn't say it, but we all knew what she was thinking. And I'm going to say it for you, VP Harris. You wanted to call him a motherfucker. And we've been calling him a motherfucker way before he ran for president. But you wanted to say it. She was like, and she almost said it. I'm glad she didn't, but we all knew what she was going to say. But did you notice when a strong woman steps into the room, how little boys act?
Yeah, I didn't watch the on purpose. I chose not to watch that debate. I'm glad she did well and that it came off well. And I heard about that. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. But you're right. The big point you make there, when a woman steps in the room, you act like a little boy, and I think that says a lot. It says quite a bit. But think about this for a second. You've basically, speaking of him, you've been against her people, what her people stand for, who her people are, and you're going to lose to her. You know how disrespect. You know how that's going to feel after the election is over. You never come out and admit it. Imagine yourself. You just knew you was going to wipe it up with Biden. Now, what you never imagined, what you never dreamed, if you never saw coming, steps in front of you and whacks your ass. Not only in a debate, I mean, in every facet of what's going on. Man, that I'm happy to see. What you got, Mr. Charles?
Yeah, just craziness. He was totally disrespectful to her. He has been for a long time, and he's allowed to get away with it because that's that old way of thinking about certain men, particularly white men. Well, he says this, so if he says something off the wall, in the end, we're still better because he's the better choice or he makes the most sense, right? But he's been totally disrespectful. When she does come and wax his butt, it's going to be something interesting. But most importantly, too, the media buys into it. They've been buying into it for a long time. And that's what I told folks before, that you got to watch what is being provided for you. You mentioned it earlier. What's coming in your soul? What's being shown to you? What do you read? What do you listen to? What do you take in? The media is doing this, man, and they're doing it blatantly now. So we buy into stuff. Like, for instance, the whole thing about on national TV in the debate in front of millions. What do we hear? Well, the 20,000 immigrants or from Haitian immigrants that are coming into Springfield, Ohio, they're taking over everything. They're taking over the programs. Springfield is really hurting right now. They're eating the cats. They're eating the dogs. What? I live in Ohio. What the fuck are you talking about? Ain't y'all listening to that bullshit? I live here. I grew up less than 20, probably 30 minutes away from where the hell you talking about. And this dude come on there where they're eating the cat, they're eating the dog. When you find out it was one woman that maybe been eating a cat or a dog, and for geographical standpoint, locations, qualifications, let me say this real quickly. It wasn't Springfield, Ohio. Springfield, Ohio is near Dayton, Ohio, where I grew up, okay? Which is southwest Ohio, where this so-called eating the cats and the dogs happening in up near Akron, Ohio, in Canton, where the Pro Football Hall of Fame is, at least 3 damn hours away. But yet, because somebody said it on national TV, we go, oh my God, they're eating the cats, they're eating the dogs in spring. What? Man, wake the fuck up, y'all. Wake up. This motherfucker just told you something crazy. And yet you're going, well, I need to investigate. Investigate that they allowed that to happen and they considered you to be an imbecile because you're going to receive it and ingest it. Wake up.
There it is, people. Mr. D. Maurice. Another good question, my brother. And
Yeah.
yeah, what you have?
Yeah, and I know people in Springfield. I used to be on the radio in Springfield. And when he said that, I'm like, wait a minute. I've never been to this place. And he constantly zeroes in on a race of people and culture. And I'm glad there are people, Haitian people, who live in this country. If you want to know about a rich, thick history, go check out the Haitian people and Haitian history. How they whooped the French's ass to the point where the United States had to bail out France, and that's how you got the Louisiana Purchase, because they had to sell that land because they bankrupted them in war. And how the Haitians went and tried to did free and try to free a lot of black people, not only in this country but in other countries around the globe. I mean, and he kind of denigrates different people. Puerto Ricans, the same thing. He tried to do that, and how he brings people from those particular cultures, or to try to talk about those cultures in a negative way. And you want this is your man's. This is who you trying to promote as the leader of the free world. And you talked about earlier about discrimination and whether or not you're surprised it's still going on. No, he's empowering these folks to act the way they act, because he acts the way that they want him to act. They want to come out and be emboldened. They want to come out and be those people that I'm a proud American and blah 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 blah, and make America great again and all this other stuff. When has it been great? When has it been great? But they want to take it back 300 years. And so, when I look at this little boy on stage, just ranting off and different things, he's incoherent. He's suffering from dementia and mental illness. And y'all can't see that, and y'all still want to vote for him. It shows me it's not about your morals. It's about you being racist. And black folks who follow that, like I said, you are the ones that Harriet would have left behind. Because if you don't want to see it and you still want to live in Master's house, stay there while it burns.
Real quick, gentlemen, I'm gonna come back to you for just a quick thought on this, and then we're gonna kind of wrap this up. But um, I look at it like this too. You just spoke to Mr. Maurice. He's this. He throws things out there. He has forced America to see a side of them they really want to hide and don't like.
Oh, yeah.
So, quick reaction to it, Mr. Charles. True or false?
No, I think that's true because now it allows you to. It makes you really think as to what am I doing? What do I accept? What do I stand for? Right? Because it's blatant in the message. It's clear. The message is clear what he's saying. So, do you agree with that? Do you go with the lesser of two evils, or who you think is a stronger person, or whatever it may be? You got to ask yourself the question, and only you know what you think when you pull that damn lever. That's all I'm gonna say.
I'm coming to you real quick, Mr. Drees. I want to say this though, because what I like about this, as exposed in this part of America, and some people that says, "Yeah, I'm going to vote for him," it make people look at you a certain way, and you may not line up with all his theories, but guess what? You put us on the notice who you are. Your quick reaction to it, sir.
Yeah, people think the fight is over. The battle for we shall overcome is never over. White supremacy is still out there, and it's showing its ugly face. And people don't want to see it because they think, okay, when Obama got elected, oh, racism is over. No, it's not over. The fight is still here. It's really whether or not you really willing. What are you willing to sacrifice to continue to fight and win this battle? Because it's still here. It ain't go nowhere. It just left, just lay dormant for a while until you had an asshole like him that says, "Hey, I'm going to be your spokesperson on bringing this back so that we can get things like it used to be." And now it brought you out. Like I said, I'm glad he brought it out. So now I know who I can identify who thinks like this and who acts like this. And so now I know where to put you. I know where to put you. And I know how to deal with you. And I know that the fight still goes on, white supremacy still goes on. And until you're eradicated, I'm going to continue to fight. So you can be a dumbass if you want to. As my father said, when you see a stupid person, just thump them upside the head every time you get a chance. Just thump them upside the head and make them aware of, I know who you are, and I'm gonna treat you accordingly.
There it is, gentlemen. That is the wrap right there for One Black Man Talk for this episode. Mr. Charles, Mr. DeMaurice, Mark Elliott, we appreciate you giving us a listen. And if, take a stop by that new website. Let me give that to you one more time. When Black, BLAK, Men Talk.me. Pay us a visit. Until next time, God loves you, and we do as well. Be good to yourself.